At 6:05 p.m. on January 11th. Notice of recording. Please note that tonight's meeting is recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 and in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A 20. I must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting and to please make their presence known. That nobody is recording this, so I guess we're all set on that one. I guess we just,
You usually do a roll call.
oh yeah, we gotta do roll call.
Angela, aye.
Hagenstein, aye.
No, here.
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 Farina, here.
Serpenine here.
Bill Charapon, here.
Okay, good job.
Is that enough?
Is that a quorum? With
Five?
Yeah, you're a 9C committee.
Okay. So, we are gonna decide on the minutes of the last meeting to see if everybody is on board with the,
Chris Clark needs to be switched out for our new liaison, Paul.
Make sure that's switched out. Who's our new liaison?
Paul Cusack.
Paul's not here.
He's
No,
not
Paul's not
attending
here.
this evening.
do we vote for approval of the meeting, of the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes, we can do that. That would have been the
Would anybody like to,
December,
any questions about the minutes of the last meeting?
No. Want to see that real quick?
No, I don't even know if I don't think they're on there.
Oh, they're not.
Do you need a copy of the minutes?
No, I read them earlier. I didn't see anything, but some people were double checking after getting them as well.
And then we do a roll call to approve them.
yes.
Alright, so
We have to make a
It's,
motion to approve
Yeah.
and then.
I make,
We,
go for it.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 14th as written.
seconded?
Roll call, Hagenstein, I approve.
Angela, aye.
So it's seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Takes care of that. Natural resource report.
Oh,
Shellfish growing area updates.
yeah, so, this is pending water quality, which isn't done until at least 2 weeks prior to the area becoming eligible to open, but February 15th, in theory, the Marshall's Mills River Entrance Cove will open. That's what the 3-phase map will look like.
And that's what date again?
February 15th. And this is what the blown up picture of North Bay and the Mills River and Prince Cove looks like, so that's that piece. I didn't have Alicia do numbers because we're switching to the calendar year now for renewals for recreational permits, and so like looking at what would have been sold from the 1st of January to the 11th last year when we weren't actually really getting many renewals because we didn't have 2022 permits on sale yet because they didn't expire till March 1st. Versus this year when we have tons of people renewing them because they're getting a prorate for the few months that they've been missing as a result of the change. So it would just not really be beneficial information. So I think probably if we pick it back up again in March would probably be best, because then we'll have like a better snapshot in time, but we're just kind of in that awkward period right now. Yep,
When can we pay for our commercial permits?
whenever you want to.
It's open to do it now?
Yeah,
Okay.
the second that you get sent the renewal application, that tells you that you need to, which is another one of my reminder, commercial renewal applications need to be filled out and you need to send in your $5 by the end of the business day, January 31st. That's your placeholder.
Okay.
And then you have the 90 days after that to finish paying, give us your domicile, and hopefully at some point in time get a commercial permit from the state. I know they're moving offices around, and so they're not even accepting renewals right now.
Yeah.
Similarly, commercial lottery applications and their $5 are due by the end of the business day on the 31st of January. The hearing for the commercial lottery is taking place on February 1st, I believe at 9 a.m. Let me
Cool.
just double check.
Connor, why don't you grab
At
that?
10 a.m. and is via Zoom.
You sit right in the middle.
And then recreational permits are now on sale. If you renew early, you get a discount. It's essentially $3 off of a senior permit, $4 off of a regular recreational permit, and then $7 off a non-recreational permit.
That was good.
Amy, do you keep a total on how many oysters were harvested by the public in Barnstable Harbor and West Bay?
Yeah,
Or not West Bay, but North Bay?
yeah. We have a weekly catch log. And then we have a weekly catch log.
Uh-huh.
So that's what we use, like we started on any given Sunday, it goes through that Saturday. And any of the people that we check shellfishing in any given week, we do this for every species. But oysters are also included. We write down your permit number, what you got, what day you got it, where you got it from.
Did you happen to have the totals of those? I mean, how
Just
many
off the
oysters?
top of my head, no.
No, okay.
No. That's not something we keep like a running tally of. It's something we typically tally up at the end of the season and then
Okay.
compare it to the season prior. So if you want, I would say since it's probably not gonna close till April 1st, I could bring something like that to either the April or May meeting, and we could compare like previous years versus this
Yeah.
year if you want.
That would be great, at the end of this, at the end of the season.
Yeah, because I mean what we do is like we just basically have an Excel sheet.
Yeah,
And we do running tallies for the week, but we don't like tally all of that up and make graphs for just, continuing it. It's a lot of extra work for nothing.
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. New business, number 4, corporate leasing and aquaculture licenses. What I'd like to do is give the floor to Dave Ryan, my partner, so he can articulate this probably better than I. If that's okay with everybody?
So at the, if I have to identify myself, Dave Ryan, I live in Katuitt. At the last meeting, this idea was introduced and some amount of discussion took place. And it kind of went down some different rabbit holes and stuff. And I think to start, I just wanted to really express, I think, why we want to have this conversation now. It's certainly for Cape Cod Oyster Company, we're not at all interested in expanding any activity that we do. We work on acreage in West Bay and at Barnstable Harbor. The Barnstable Harbor sites, we happen to be on 7 2-acre sites. 2 acres are already licensed to Cape Cod Oyster Company. And then the 6 other licenses are issued to myself, to Al's wife, my wife, a sister, and one of my kids. I can't speak for the other family members that are here, family businesses that are represented here tonight. But there's been this whole thing at Barnstable Harbor started in the mid-1990s. So we've been out there working, investing in this industry for over 25 years. And we think that it's in the best interest of the industry and best industry of the town that these family businesses continue. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to physically do it. Al's got a couple of years on me. Any of us that have been at it for 20 years or more, we want the jobs that we've created, the industry that we've helped grow in the state of Massachusetts. We think that it's in the best interest that these businesses continue. Barnstable has become the #1 oyster producing town I think it's I'm pretty certain it's 4 out of the last 5 years in the state. And, and I think that's largely because you have these still very small businesses that we're not hobby farmers. We are full-time, we go 52 weeks, we create jobs, but we're still very small businesses. And I think that being able to for all of us, all these different families that are here, to be able to be licensed in a way that reflects the way the farms are run is better than the way it's done now. Reporting will be much more accurate and efficient for your department, Amy. I submit summaries to the state right now that reflect the farms as they're run. So I lump all the Barnstable activity into one report. I lump the West Bay activity into one report. At the town level, I have to dice it up into 7 individual reports that must be, really difficult for you to interpret and compile. So for some of those reasons, I think it's a valid discussion to have. Really, we're not looking for anything to change substantially. Like I said, Cape Cod Oyster Company, the town of Barnstable already does issue licenses to corporations. Our West Bay sites are issued to the company. One of our 2-acre sites at Barnstable is already issued to the company. And the town will continue to have full control over us. We have to apply for a permit renewal every single year, kind of the short form, and then every 10 years, we have to do a full review before we're renewed. So at any time, if the town believes things aren't being managed and run correctly, the town has ample, recourse to take action. So I think that, so that's kind of where we're coming from. Certainly want to dispel any idea that we're looking to expand the footprint that we're working on, and I don't believe anybody. I'm not, I can't speak for any of the other family businesses that are here tonight, but that's certainly where we come from. So thank you.
Anybody else like to?
I'd like to add something to that. One thing, you can speak for the family businesses that are here, because you hit the nail right on the head. But one thing, just the permitting process is a nightmare. My 2 elderly parents that spend most of the winter in Florida have to notarize reports, and I have to make out a separate report, like you said, for each different site. And my big worry with my family business is my wife, myself, my son, my parents, we all have farms, is if something happens to one of us, it may make a shambles out of the business. I've been 27 years in Katuitt and Austerville, 25 years in Barnstable Harbor, trying to develop a business that sustains our family, and we've finally gotten to that point. And it's just one unfortunate incident could just make a shambles of the business. I mean, the way it's set up now, if something happens to me, my son has 2 acres already, he doesn't get my 2 acres, we can't continue to run the family business. It's all he's ever done. I mean, he's 31 years old and he's been doing this for 29 of them anyway. I mean, we like to start them young, but it's the way it's set up now. We have to do all the reports, all the renewals for each individual person, and there's one, and it's just one accurate report would be better than 7 made up just to make them fit the figures reports. And I mean, it's all the same, but I can make sense out of it, but I doubt if the town can. I mean, and when you put it all together, it matches all the reports for the safest and the state reports, and it's just, it would be nice to have my family business continue to be a family business, no matter what.
Excuse me, I didn't get your name.
Wayne Hayes.
Wayne. certainly
Um,
heard, and I
So,
things together.
I was definitely confused when you had presented, last time, but I talked to Dave, I had a chance to talk to Dave and got more of a gist of what, you guys are asking. And, I mean, I agree, I mean, I have a grant, you know, maybe I'll get another one in the future that goes, or my wife gets one, my daughter. It's tough to, and so I've been thinking about it, and I mean, as far as how it would go, you know, because obviously the domicile thing, the home rule is a huge thing. You know, is there a way to put like a subcategory on each grant where a company can be tied to it? And then does that make it easier to group, you know, permitting and all that? And then, you know, as far as, because like at some point I'm gonna, I mean, who knows what may happen to me any day. You know, is there a way to put a buffer to, so, you know, say it's, if you're on a 10-year lease, you keep going on that 10-year lease, and then you have until that time, the company has until that time to have someone with domicile in town to take it over, or what? But no, I totally agree with, you know, I mean, I'm 29, I know I'm doing this forever. I mean, I'm gonna invest my entire future on the grants, and at what point, you know, am I gonna be like, all right, how do I protect what I built? You know, so I totally agree with the concept of grouping permits or something like that, and then also trying to figure out a solution after the fact.
But we don't know how long forever is. Forever might be a week and it might be 50
So
years.
these gonna be
Yeah.
consolidated then? Like and then you can sell them as, in with under one person, because that doesn't.
No, I mean, still
I think
have
you
the
still
main
have
person.
a limit on the number of grants and the number of, per person, number of acres, and you have to meet domicile requirements, and I just think that, you know, as somebody that is starting in this industry in this town with my first permit, can't sell it. I've spent tens and maybe $100,000 on my town permit between boats, gear, everything, knowing that I can't sell that. And then I buy pot permits that are owner operated, which means I can't pay somebody if I break my leg to go out there and operate that. That's a state thing, right? I knew that. No pity party on me. I went into that business with that in mind. And I think that you guys went into this business with that, knowing that. And where we're at now is if you want to consolidate multiple farms and sell them all off in a lump, I mean, if this is in your best interest, I'm looking out for my best interest and Connor Rogan's best interest, who don't have farms in their name. Maybe, you know, that would ruin it for DJ, who does want more farms in his name and can put them under his family's name. So, you know, paperwork's one thing, but putting them all into one thing under one person's name, doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Before we get into specifics on how to do it, this is we're just starting to discuss this now, but I think we do, like, we're all Barnstable Harbor guys and Barnstable oyster farmers and shellfish farmers. We owe guys like Cape Cod Oyster Company, Wayne, you know, the Bunnells, people who have been in the business for a while and have produced a huge amount of oysters over the years. They've created CCD 31 oysters, and it's a reputable name now. And what concerns me is what happens, you know, this is across all the fisheries, aging of the fleet. You know, all these old boat captains are retiring, and there aren't a lot of younger people to replace them. So, like, you know, I can't compete with Wayne. He's coming in with boats full of oysters, and my boat's half empty right now. And like, it takes a while to get built up. So under the current system, say some of these guys were to retire, and then they go to like people on the wait list get these farms, you know, I worry that we could lose the quality of the CCB 31 oyster and the volume that we're able to produce, because I think it is important that when the state looks at our numbers and they see Barnstable, Wellfleet, Duxbury, whoever, Dennis, whoever comes after that, I think that is important. Be nice if we could, if they would recognize that sooner rather than later and get some infrastructure help. But I think, yeah, I do worry about the CCB 31 brand as a whole. And it would be nice to try to preserve the professionalism in the harbor.
By getting rid of the list, or making it so you have requirements, like if you have a state permit, you have to have requirements to get a state permit. You can't just go be like, I want to be a fisherman and go get one. But if you're on the list, you know, the past two people on the list, like, you know, it just, how long do you have to wait until it comes to somebody that actually knows what they're doing and wants to take care of it? And, yeah.
So if I could answer just that one question without taking too much time at all. So that is one of the concerns, Jake, that I think that you would have, because if something happened to Al or myself this week, you know, the chance that the company dissolves and all of a sudden those 7-acre sites go to, those 7 2-acre sites go to 7 people on the wait list.
Yeah.
And that's not a healthy thing for the harbor.
No. But there's another way around it by doing exactly what the state does, which is is making sure that you're able to operate that. You know, they ask for a requirement, they ask for a history of you in the industry. So if the wait list was, then it could just go to somebody like just another young, you know, maybe DJ's wife's on the wait list, maybe my girlfriend's on the wait list, maybe Connor's on the wait list, maybe other people have family members on the wait list to build their multiple acre businesses just like you have. So if you fix the wait list, I mean, you could probably get more acreage yourself because you could probably have maybe other family members on the wait list.
Well, I think there's another aspect to this. When you have some size, which most of the people in this room do, have more than 2 acres, more than 4 acres. For instance, for Cape Cod oyster, we supply the county, we supply a lot of growers seed every year. The county's probably gotten 10 million seed from us in the last 6 or 7 years. If you don't have size, you can't do that. So it's a real issue. Like, another side of that is we buy a lot of oysters from smaller growers that are maybe doing it part-time. They don't have time to count them and pack them and ship them and this and that and the other thing. They can just bring them to our place and we'll run them and sell them and give them a check. Now, we're doing that because we have the size to be able to do that by having equipment that, you know, grades the stuff and counts the stuff and all the rest of it. So there's
That's a different transaction than
well, but you're helping. In other words, you're helping the whole harbor.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. In other words,
I mean, I can buy
if we
oysters.
go away tomorrow, there's not going to be any seed for the from the county. There's not. So the town of Barnstable is not going to get any seed.
So they buy all the seed from you?
They get it from the county.
Yeah, but Barnstable actually tends not to be on that list.
Could I-
We've sold the town some, but it's.
Yeah, not much.
only
We don't
the
sell
town
them
with
much.
discount, yeah.
As long
But
as
I
we're
think-
getting, can I speak again? As long as we're getting back to the regulations, these regulations were made 25 years ago or so in a room smaller than this, with less people than this, that knew a lot less than you people know. So we could go out in Barnstable Harbor where half the people in the room didn't think it was a good idea, that it wouldn't work, that you were wasting your money, that it couldn't be done.
Mhm.
And that basically, things were set up that way to appease people. We never said with 2 acres was enough, or 2 acres was okay. People that were against it said, oh, you'll never fill 2 acres, you can't possibly do that. Well, we did, and more, and it was said in the minutes of those meetings that you just have to get straws, you know, which is the actual term that was used. And this is the way it was set up. And these regulations should change and adapt and adjust. It's not written in stone. This is not handed down from eons of knowledge.
So what
It
do you
was a
want?
bunch of schmucks like us sitting in a room just like this, you know.
What
and
regulations are you guys proposing?
Well, I
to
think,
be able to combine the family farm, so I won't have to worry about
And then it
not
just
handing it down
all in one name?
to my,
yeah,
10 acres
one
in one
name,
name.
my name, a company name, whatever you wanna call it.
And how do
But
you
let a
split it up?
family farm become the real family farm that it is. If my elderly parents pass away,
Mhm.
we lose half our farm in
I know.
Barnstable Harbor.
But you knew that the whole time.
Yeah,
But you know,
I knew that the whole
everyone
time.
knows
We
that-
made these regulations, we change these regulations all the time. What's gonna change, Jake? What's gonna change? You know my situation very well.
Nothing's gonna change for you.
What's gonna change?
You know, but you know,
It's gonna be a lot easier for reporting. It's gonna be a lot easier.
this is what's gonna change is that those will never dissolve and nobody else. So then maybe somebody buys Al's farm, and then
Well,
at the same time that you guys decide maybe, and then I know maybe, you know, who knows, maybe
Hey, maybe,
multiple
I
farms,
want
right?
it to be a
Maybe
family farm.
multiple
I'd
farms.
put
What
a
if
thing
you wanted
down
to all
that it
sell
would
out?
always stay in
What
my
if you all-
family or it would go on the list.
What if you all want to sell out? Would they all go into one person's name?
well, no, you put a limit on it.
What's the limit? 40 acres?
Well, whatever, you know,
I mean, that's
whatever
what you
people
propose,
have.
like,
We have no interest in having more acreage in the town of
I
Barnstable.
know, but you said 40 acres at the last one, so I'm just trying to understand.
Well, I think we
I'm just trying
have
to.
40 acres.
I'm on the commercial fisherman seat,
Yeah,
right? And I'm here to protect the people
Yeah,
that I'm supposed
so
to
what
protect.
I'm
So
saying
what I'm
is-
saying is, how am I supposed to protect the young fishermen that want to come up in the industry if it's going to be consolidated before they can?
it's
even
not
get this?
consolidated, it's what it is right now. It's,
But
nothing's
if,
gonna
so let me
change.
get this. After you have all your acres are in one name, right? Now you want to sell it to somebody else, right? But what if you
No,
want to sell? No,
not
no.
necessarily.
Well, what's the point then?
What's the point?
Well, no, like, no,
Jake, if we
listen.
wanted to sell it, we would sell it.
Exactly. So listen, we got to talk about
But
if
do
you
it
want to
anyway.
sell it, then how are you gonna take if say you have the whole farm, but one of your areas is that good, and I said, Al, can I get that 2 acre plot or that 1.75 like for X amount of money? Like how's that
Yeah.
gonna work?
Yeah,
That like can you subdivide after it's consolidated?
well, I would
If
think you just keep it
catastrophe
the way it
happens
is.
and no will, and you just whoever has it dies, and then does the 10 acres go back into the town as 10 acres? Is it ever going back?
Well, the town can do what they
Does now.
want. If the town takes it back,
No, but I'm saying like
They want
you're
it.
talking about consolidating on.
it's not, we're not what you're not understanding is, the people in this room aren't gonna change anything. Everything is gonna be exactly the way it is today.
Yes.
We have our acres,
Until when it's
Wayne
until
has
it's not.
his acres.
Then, but once it's consolidated, are you able to sell them, or how is that?
Sure,
work?
you can do whatever you want now.
But if you wanted to sell a couple acres, you could sell a couple acres off of it, or.
He could do
Why
that now
not?
if he
You
wanted.
can do whatever you want now.
He's not talking about
Nothing's
changing the
changing.
borderlines.
You're not changing anything.
But it's all one person in one domicile.
No, it's a
Yeah,
company
but
with
that's-
somebody that runs the company as a domicile in the town. That's what I propose. I'm
I
not-
think there's just a lot of people out there that I have to represent that would not feel comfortable with
What's
it all
the,
being.
what is the difference? What do you, in other words,
What do you-
what don't you feel comfortable about? Everything is we're not changing anything the way it is now. We're not changing anything.
You are, because if something happens to you or your family, it
Yeah.
goes back on the list, or you have to sell it before that happens.
Yeah?
So that would change.
So you want, so
That
what
would
you
be
want
out
me
of
to
my
do
favor,
is,
out
you
of
want me
my
to take my
people's favor.
40 years in the business and blow it up.
Al,
Well,
that's what I mean.
listen to
Wait,
Al.
wait, just 1 second, I gotta ask.
If I buy,
Just a minute.
if
let
I
me
buy
ask
all
the
these
question.
fishing, that's what happens to my business right now, that I just spent $100,000+ on. to go do, knowing that if I drop dead tomorrow, they evaporate, right?
Do you have a grant?
No, I have commercial fishing businesses in the state. Under those rules, they're very similar to this, but worse, way worse.
What commercial what? Like what?
Like any state permit that you have that's limited access, you have to fish it for 4 years
Yeah, but
to be able to sell
you're
it.
not growing anything.
If I die and will to
You're
somebody,
taking, what you're doing is taking. You're a taker.
it doesn't matter. You're on town land in commercial areas.
Why don't we let someone else speak?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I think that, I'm not clear on a couple of points here, I just don't quite understand. The town owns the area,
Mhm.
and they, you apply for a grant, and you're given this area to grow oysters on.
Mhm.
But you don't own that area, you
No,
own the
it's a
right to
lease.
grow.
Yeah,
It's a lease,
it's a lease.
okay. It's a lease, so you can't sell the lease.
Right, yeah, they do keep saying sell, but it's a transfer.
Okay, you can transfer
You
the
can
lease.
You can
Yeah.
transfer after.
And you
certain
could
years.
transfer it to anybody who gave you the right price.
Or that lives in the town. As
That lives in the
today.
town that gave you the right price.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
With the approval of this board.
with the approval of this board, yeah.
And with the approval
Town
of the town
manager.
council.
But this board can be trumped by town council, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Well, this board makes recommendations based on transfers and renewals, but is not a regulatory authority.
No.
The Shellfish Advisory Board.
Mhm.
Versus like the Conservation Commission, that is a regulatory authority.
So it's really the
So
town
if you
manager.
incorporate, you have how many different grants, under how many different
He's
people's
got a
name
little
of the
over
family?
20 acres in total,
Yeah.
I think it's like around
I
24.
think we have, under corporate name right now, today, in the town of Barnstable, I think we have about 15 or 17 acres.
Yep.
Sounds about
And
right.
those,
Those
and you
are
have different
corporate
names
No,
on
that-
those.
That's a corporate name, Cape Cod Oyster Company, Inc.
Well, what are you talking about when you say you want to incorporate? You've already incorporated.
It's the
That's
balance of the lease.
This is what I'm
You just told
talking,
me you had
this is
a
how crazy,
corporation.
this is how crazy it is. We have, in the town of Barnstable, today,
Yeah,
we have about 17 or 20 acres of, under the name of Cape Cod Oyster Company, Inc.
You can't sell your business with that much?
We also have, we also have my name, his name, my wife's name, his wife's name, his son's name, his sister's name, okay?
yeah.
So that's 14 acres in, approximately,
In addition to the other.
in addition to the other.
Okay, so
So
they,
just leave it clean.
A little history.
you just want it all,
All in-
Yeah,
all
there's some
in-
companies in
under the
town
corporate
that
name,
have
that's
almost
all.
100 acres, right?
What's that?
There's grants, there's agriculture companies in the town that have just shy of 100 acres, right? What's Katuitt have?
Katuitt's the largest by far, but I think they're at what, 38 or something?
I do have the
30.
math at the office. I have that for next
It's right,
month,
you
as I
put
was
it right up
assuming
on the
this
board.
will continue to be a
Anyway,
discussion.
I have,
But yeah, essentially about 40, I wanna say it's 44% of all of the aquaculture that exists
Is
in the
incorporated.
almost 156 acres that are currently leased in the town are held under the umbrellas of two companies.
You know, it's kind of crazy, you get, so, how many acres did you say in the corporate name?
No, not under corporate names. In the total,
Yeah,
all of the acreage that's currently licensed in the town is just shy of 156 acres.
uh-huh.
And a little over 40% of that acreage falls under the umbrella of Cape Cod Oyster and Katuitt Oyster Company.
Oh, 40%, the two companies,
Yes.
yeah, and they're in corporate names. Well, some of it is,
Some of it is,
some of it is.
exactly.
So it's kind, I mean, Katuitt Oyster Company's been a corporate name for 100 years. You know, to give you a small smidgen of the history, when I decided to get into the business in 1982, the town of Barnstable didn't even know what a grant was. Because they had them 40, 50 years before, but the state just had decided to let people have grants again for the environment, to, you know, enhance the environment. So I went to the town and they said, well, oh, okay, what do you want? I said, well, I'll take this and this. And that's how I got the 17 acres in West Bay, which is where we started. And that's why they got in the corporate name. But the town of Barnstable, and myself included, we had no idea what we were doing. We just, oh, okay, what do we do? We gotta go to the state and, you know, ask them, what do we do now? Okay, is that what you want? Fine, okay, great. Then about 10 years later, their father and myself decided we're gonna try Barnstable Harbor, which is now in the mid-90s, I guess. You already had a grant.
I had the misfortune of applying for my grants in Katuitt and Osterville. At the same time, you were trying to go to Barnstable. So instead of getting 17 acres like I wanted, they created all these new regulations because they were afraid to 2 acres.
Yeah.
So I got hosed big time on that. So I've got 1 acre in Katuitt and 1 acre in Osterville, which needs to be upped. And the grants, the 5 grants in Barnstable Harbor that have reached 2 acres, that are my name, my wife's name, my son's name, and my parents.
It sounds like we're talking about two different things, annual renewals and transfers. Or are they?
We're not talking about that at all. What we want to do is to be able to put all my family's grants in one company name controlled by
Streamlining the
the
annual
family,
renewal.
streamlining everything,
Yes.
all the reporting, all the,
Well, it makes it sustainable. I mean, he's got a son that's been in the business his whole life. If something happens to Wayne's parents and Wayne, the son doesn't have a business anymore.
yeah, and
What
he
kind
has
of crazy, what kind of crazy thing is that? That
I
doesn't
mean, I'm
make
the
any
same way.
sense.
It's the same way for me, though.
No, it
What
isn't.
about-
the
It
same.
is. It's the very same way.
So we have 3 sites. One's in, I'm Aaron Hemela, Barnstable Sea Farms. So yeah, our dad started in like 1991. We have 3 sites, 2 in Barnstable Harbor and 1 in Osterville. The one in Osterville is in his name. The 2 Barnstable sites are in our names. And, you know, we plan on taking over the business. He started it as a sole proprietorship. So you think we'd become a partnership, me and Jared? Well, we want that, you know, protection, so we become an LLC, a limited liability corporation. So
Limited liability company,
limited, yeah.
not a corporation.
So it would just make sense to put all of the grants under that. I mean, our business doesn't function without our site in West Bay.
Are you guys married?
I mean, what?
I mean, like,
We're brothers.
No, I know that. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, you know, like there's you have 2 acres on the north side, 2 acres on the south side. So one of you guys could put those 2 acres on the south side, and then if something happens to one of you, you could just do that, give it to your wife.
But our argument,
I mean, yeah,
our argument is that
you can put it.
why
all
should
in,
we have
you
to?
know?
Our argument is why should we have to? We're running a company. I don't want, you know, acres in my dog's name and what, you know,
Yeah,
all
no, I
this
get
stuff.
it.
It's
Yeah.
you know, just we're 2 guys, you know, we just want our site over here and here and here, all just in our company's name. And that's just
The proposal I made last week, which is strictly, you know, just a proposal, was that, you know, you put it in the company name, you pay $200 an acre. You know, no more acres, leave it at that. You know,
No more acres for who? Just you,
or whatever.
what if they
make
want
the
more?
regulation
What if they
up.
want some more?
Well, if they
They're
want
stuck
some
at-
more, let
they're
them get
stuck at
some more. I
6?
don't know.
You know? What about you can put it all into your name, you can put it all under one name, but when you want to transfer, you have to transfer them independently. You cannot transfer them all to one person. And you can put them on the free market.
Well, that would be like
Wait a minute.
the intent
And then somebody can-
initially.
My God, no.
And what?
free market.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what they're,
I mean, that's part of how the business works
Well, that's how it is now.
like using.
So-
yeah, but no,
Yeah.
but the thing is, a
Rules.
10-acre farm is a 10-acre farm. A 10-acre farm is a 10-acre farm, it'll never be anything less. It will only be
Why,
more.
why not?
Probably won't.
Why not?
Have you gone backwards?
Well, if it's got 10, I've gone backwards, yeah, I gave a farm away in Maine, gave it away.
Yeah, no, but in the
Dollars.
town, in the town. Where your,
In this town?
Yeah, where your main primary
Um,
business is.
You gave that 10 acres up that
You know, I could go to
using
Maine.
those
Yes,
on-
I did.
I could go to
Yes, as a
Maine.
matter of fact, I did.
What?
I did, I gave up, was it 10 acres?
10 acres?
Yeah,
That was when you had all the stuff you already have right now in the town.
I gave up 10 acres. You asked me the
Where?
question, I
Where?
just told you.
Did you go backwards? Would you have
I
36
gave
and you're
up
20?
10 acres.
That's not going backwards if you went forward.
Oh, I see.
You know,
That's,
yeah.
Jake, you know, not everything
Mhm.
has to be 100% about you.
Well, that's what it is right now. It's about
I
me
know-
and the
I know
people that
world
represent
revolves
me.
around Jake Angelo.
That's what it is.
Pick on him. Okay.
So,
So,
I'm on
So-
here. You know, it's
Where,
like-
what do you expect from the committee at this point? Us
I
to say,
would, what I would like from the committee, and what I think we should have a vote on, let's see, how would I guess I'd say to allow corporate ownership, and with the corporate ownership goes an increased fee from $25 to $200. That the manager of the company would have to be a resident of the town of Barnstable. Anything else?
Is there a limit?
Think of?
Limit?
A limit?
Yeah.
all right.
Sure.
I'm
What do you
gonna
wanna
make
call
a
it?
suggestion. I don't think that we're going to make any decisions or any choices here tonight. I think that, you've given those members that are on the board, on the committee here tonight, some material to work with and ask more questions, because we've got three, and the two of us are recreational, so this is a lot of new ground for us.
Mhm.
I think that I'd like to see this accepted as information that was given out here tonight, and we will do more research, ask more questions, talk with more people who know what's going on, probably get around and visit with some of you, and keep working on the issue to get a better understanding so that we can perhaps reach some sort of an understanding that would agree with everybody and would work. I don't know, I'm not in a position to say, yeah, this sounds great, or no, we can't do that, we can't do that. I just don't know at this point, and I need to be better educated here. So I think we should table it for the moment and go on.
Yeah, if Amy Curto, Shellfish Constable, I don't think this is like a goes to a vote this evening kind of situation. I do think that there's a lot of people who have more than 2 acres in this room right now. There's absolutely nobody except for Connor and Jake that are on, well, and Tyler,
My number's
from
on
the
this
wait
for you.
list in this
You
room
want
right
more
now.
information, you want to talk to somebody?
And there are no, besides PJ, like really small farm
My
operators
telephone- It's hands
in this room
on,
right
it's good
now.
stuff.
So I think it's
My
probably
telephone
best for
number's
the
on there if you
discussion to
wanna chat about
continue
what time
and for that type of engagement with other
when it is,
stakeholders to take place so that it's properly vetted.
Sound good? Okay.
That's what you wanna do.
Connor?
Okay, what's next?
Before we go on, we
Yeah,
got Connor.
Renewal.
For when we revisit this,
Oh, introduce yourself.
Connor Rogan, commercial shellfisherman in town. When we revisit this, I'd just be curious to like have like a rough outline of like the kind of like regulations and like limits and stuff that would go into this, because I do think you risk like way down the road like 1 or 2 companies like monopolizing the entire town. Like, I mean, it's like a pretty small community, and I wouldn't foresee that happening, but I do think it's a risk, like, you do incur. And then also having, like, the current list go, like, stagnant.
Say that again?
Having, like, the current, like turnover rate of farms, like I feel like it'd be an issue where farms won't turn over as quick if people, you can get as many as you want, you know. So I'd just be curious to see like just like a list of like,
Well, I basically
Rules and
said,
regs.
we have no interest in growing the farm. We don't, we're not
Yeah,
we're not gonna be purchasing anybody's farm or
Could be
yeah.
anybody.
I'm just
getting
saying the whole-
anybody's
the whole
farm.
industry
And I don't know, I
as a
can't
whole,
speak
you know?
for everybody else, but my guess is they're probably in the same boat,
I get you.
you know? So we're not, in other words, I think in the grand scheme of things, we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
The only thing we're really changing is the $200.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with any, I think it
Yeah.
makes perfect sense for anybody who has farms right now, I just don't, I wouldn't wanna see it get like.
Yeah, no, I don't, yeah, I agree with it. I mean, that, you know, that's a fair, that's very fair.
Do you all have a business plan? A written business plan for yourselves?
A business plan?
You don't have a,
We've been doing business
I know,
for
I know,
40
but do you
years.
have,
You
you
must
know,
have.
something that,
Yeah.
you know, a point paper that describes who you are and what you do and how long you've been doing it? You know, give us some,
Well, would you like to see that?
yeah, I would.
Okay.
All right, you know, then I can say, okay, and then I have a look and see how kind of, you know, so many of these people are here and there and how long you've been in business. Then I can start doing more reading and asking more questions so that I understand what you're wanting better. You know, it's,
Would you like to share your email address so that people could send it to you via email?
I don't mind, but we're being recorded and it will go out public. If you wait around until we're,
I can
Finish.
share Patricia's email with the businesses that are here this evening.
That would
That
be-
would be helpful.
And I'm gonna leave all my
What'd you say?
contact info with you tonight.
and also I'd like to make sure you know, this is Bill Shirpon, and he has been here a couple of months now. We persuaded him to join us, and he is also a recreational shellfisher. We
Would
have
you-
one
would
more
you
slot.
Explain to Wayne, because he wasn't here when you asked the question.
I'm asking that I get a business, what did I say?
Business plan.
Just basically
I'm gonna
an
be-
outline of the
Getting
business.
older here this week, you know, so do you have some sort of a business plan that you've written up or something? That kind of explains to me, gives me a little more.
I work like 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. The last thing I want to do is go home and write about it.
Give it to your secretary.
The last thing my wife wants to hear about is,
You know what?
when you're talking about the
Hey,
acreage.
Katie, put his name on the list and I'll call him up and say, listen, why
You
don't
got my telephone
I come
number
by
right there.
and, I've got his. Wanna come by?
We're talking about the
We'll come
acreage and
visit you sometime.
how farms started and stuff. Back in the early 80s, I had 18 acres off of Bone Hill Road, a farm. Back then, applied for it, okay, 18 acres here, go out and try it. We tried to grow mussels and stuff, it was a complete disaster. We worked real hard, we spent a lot of money, we didn't get anywhere. Project didn't work, just gave it back to the town, figured I need another 18 acres, I'll just apply for it and get it. Well, it's not so easy anymore. But that's the way things used to be, and there's a lot more land than I have now that I just, you know, I wasn't using it, wouldn't figure be able to get it back, no. Different people come along and they all have different ideas, and some are easier to work with than others, and you end up with stupid regulations that, for people that had all the wrong idea, or the right idea that didn't get it put in, but anyway.
You know, from time to time, it might be that you want to, when you come across a regulation and you want to question it, that you bring it to the committee's attention and say, can we research this and see if it really does still apply?
Well, sometimes we do that, and we get the committee to agree with it,
Yeah,
and to go along with it, and they vote on it, and they change it, and they adjust it, and they get a nice regulation, then they go behind your back to the town manager at the meeting and fight it, and write it up totally different. Now, none of those people that did that are here anymore, but
We're here.
we're here, yeah.
No, and another thing to mention, I mean, it's a different license, but there was an issue with the Novoichuks last year, you know,
Oh, yes.
and it's, I mean, that's a big deal.
But that wasn't his aquaculture grant, I thought, was it?
No,
The
but
commercial
Yeah.
permit.
just the permit, you know,
Yeah.
it's, there's definitely some adjustments that need to be done. It's gonna take a little bit of time, obviously, to make sure things don't go bad, but I think we definitely need to try to adjust some
Yeah.
things.
The industry's evolved a lot since these
Yeah.
regulations were written up.
Yeah.
The industry has changed.
And it's
It's
not, it's
mature.
not an easy industry. There's the amount of overhead in these businesses, I mean, our prices don't really fluctuate too much. You know, price of everything goes up, but, you know, the amount of money I have invested in gear and, you know, it's, there's a lot of time that has to go into these. I mean, I'm in it for 7 years and I just started making money 2 years ago.
Okay, I just
So,
so you know,
it's-
and Mark knows this, I took the shellfish propagation course. What was it, first year of COVID, I think. And so, you know, my hat's off to you guys, because I cannot understand how you can go out there every day in all kinds of weather and do what you do. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know I have a pretty good, don't have a pretty good idea, because I have never done it, but I have better understanding of how much is involved now through that course. It was quite an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, and then just think about the guys that have been doing
Yeah.
it for 30
Yeah,
plus
like,
years.
wow, like I said,
What happens,
my hat's
you
off
know?
to you guys, yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's pretty much
So-
what they're asking. It's like, how can we adjust some things?
It's not even the money that you put into it. It's you put your life into it,
Yeah, your
and
family,
it could
everything.
disappear like that. It's a scary thing once you've gone and been in it for a while.
Again, I just think it's in the best interest of the town that these investments of time, effort, and energy and years are able to continue. You know, I'm not, you know, Amy, you probably started with the town 5 or 10 years after I was already working in the industry, and you'll probably retire before me. It's not out of, it's
Not
not
outside
like,
the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
I started in 2006.
it's, you know, I can't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to,
But at some point, you know, the body, you know, won't let it be continued.
we're trying to get our dad to quit, but he's like 75 and he still comes out with us.
He likes to micromanage you.
What other questions? Do you have any other questions?
No?
We're at
A lot.
almost 7 o'clock now.
And we need to, I think, move forward.
There are a bunch of other things on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Oh,
We are bound by those 2
We are going to
hours
be coming
now.
back to this.
there's a hearing for the renewal of an agricultural license. Number 38, Barnstable Harbor,
Yeah,
Carl Carlson.
yeah. So this used to be the Lewis's until then it wasn't anymore. And is now Carl's. He is not here today. I think he's probably in Florida, working on that house that he bought.
Where we
Yeah.
all should be.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. And so he resides at 275 Old Jail Lane, approximately 0.82 acres, mean low water depth 0 feet, mean high water 8 feet. Your mud and sand are existing conditions. He gets sets of razors and steamers through there and cultivates oysters and quahogs. Nothing's changing from his current method, and he's looking for a 10-year renewal.
All in favor?
And that's where that is. It's in Barnstable Harbor. So yeah, so you guys can, do you have any questions about it? I mean, this is his first renewal, so he's been in it 5 years now. He's up to date on all his paperwork. He, runs a solid operation, we don't
growing
have
any
any
oysters?
issues with him.
Handful.
Do we have to vote on this?
Tyler's running the meeting,
You
right?
do vote on
No,
them, yeah.
Alice in the meeting.
Alice now?
What you
She's
do is
done,
you,
yeah.
in these instances, you make a motion to recommend
Ma-
the renewal.
Okay, so
So-
I make a motion to,
I mean, you
Yeah.
can,
yeah, make a motion to renew,
to recommend favorably,
recommend
yeah.
renewal
Yeah,
for Carlson
yes.
for
I
10
second
years.
What, wait a minute.
I second that.
Okay,
Right.
All in favor?
Okay, I agree.
Can I get some-
all in favor?
All in favor,
Aye.
Dave said
All, I guess against? Hearing no opposition,
Mhm.
we approve the license renewal.
Opposed.
Coastal projects, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so I have an update on one that's not on the agenda anymore because you all were very upset about it. And it went to the commission on the 3rd. Patricia was in attendance, 150 Carriage Road. It's continued to Valentine's Day. The Conservation Commission essentially is saying that it's a extremely overbuilt dock for kayaks. And so asking them to go back to the table and come back with something else. And they're also arguing quite well amongst themselves about seasonal versus permanent piers. That seems to be like their hot topic item right now. On the 3rd also was the pier ramp and float proposed in Shoestring Bay in a prohibited area. That's essentially a muck zone. Dave Ryan actually did the survey for this location and found no suitable shellfish habitat, which was consistent with what we found. And the Conservation Commission approved this one. So I don't know if you want to discuss it or not. It's already taken place, so typically
No.
you don't.
No.
All right. 310 North Bay Road went yesterday to the commission, and I think this is one that when it goes back, where does she usually show her plans? That you want to take a close look at and perhaps discuss and comment on, because they want to, over by Chris Gargiulo's grant number 2, take a seasonal pier and make it into a permanent pier, which at least in the opinion of my department is concerning, because it is just gonna set a precedent for literally everybody who lives on the shoreline everywhere to just make all their seasonal piers permanent.
If you
And
live there, what would you want?
I wouldn't want anything. I'd be like that guy that lives on the side of Katuitt Bay that just has like a forest that goes to the water. That would be what I would have.
It's right in front of all the floating gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like on the it's right there, that corner right between the two
He had to go
sites
to
of
the street
his.
to block it out.
So he wasn't in favor of it, even though that's not what Arlene's comments said. She had a procedure done today, and so she's not able to attend today. But essentially, it's, I know it's very depressing.
Disregard.
Yeah.
She's the reason I want to do these in person.
But where are
I'll
those?
see you on Valentine's Day.
Well, my opinion of a permanent dock is better than a dock that you're taking it out every year.
So what's interesting is next door to this area, they also have a seasonal pier. And because of the sediment grain size, it actually, fills in quite nicely and is suitable shellfish habitat there. So I think, like what you can say, blanketly, they should all be seasonal or they should all be permanent. I think there is like a case-by-case basis discussion to have on some of those. And I do think that there are areas where seasonal piers are probably more applicable than a permanent pier and better for the environment than a permanent pier. So anyway, it's being taken under, I think actually, everything's just sideways. It's been taken under advisement until next Tuesday, so it goes back before the commission next Tuesday.
Okay.
So feel free to discuss.
Any report, Shellfish report?
Yes, I sent it to you guys via email. I don't have it printed
What's
with
that
me
address
right
again?
now.
There's like a bunch
but-
of steamers, she
310
said,
North Bay.
on the shore, and then she said that there's co-ops.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
But
like,
she said she did it at high tide, right? You couldn't really tell.
no, I don't think I saw that part.
It was like on the drop, but so was sunset.
Okay.
Just the other night, right?
Yeah, yeah, 'cause it was Friday. Yeah,
I just dropped it.
yeah.
Oh, that's Heritage House.
So.
Oh,
So there's another one, Homeport.
Yeah, that's 9 Indian Trail, that's on the Sepuit River. That one goes to the commission on the 17th. And John said he wasn't gonna come, which I can't blame him for because all of the access is via the upland, so they didn't even have to do a shellfish survey.
Okay.
So it's
we don't
not-
have to talk
it's-
about that one.
Exactly, so.
So, old business status of repair of Scuttle Lane Town Landing,
There
any
are-
status? No
There are
status.
no meetings scheduled yet, so.
Okay, no
When there's a
status.
meeting scheduled, I'll let
Matters
you
not
know.
reasonably anticipated by the chair. Hearing no matters anticipated, I would like to
Adjourn.
adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice work, guys.
That's the end of that.